a lot of guys try to lead with dominance instead of leading with influence. And it's important that they don't confuse autonomy and sovereignty over their life with dominance, right? That there is a flexibility and an open-mindedness in that process. And that the reality is that they have to become somebody who lives a life that's above reproach. It doesn't mean you're perfect, brother. But what it means is that you got to get yourself to a place where you're undeniable. Your wife is asleep and she wakes up and walks down to get coffee, and you're in the kitchen with your shirt off, right? Shaking a protein shake because you just got back from the gym. Right? You're in a position in your life where you're showing her, you're creating a man that in reality, through his autonomous self-development, personal development journey, you're creating a guy that's worth pursuing. And you're creating a guy that at the end of this process, it's not about who he's, what he's attaining and what he's acquiring. It's about who he's becoming, who he's being, who he is. So it's not the old process of like, if I just have these things, then I can do these things and I can be this person. It's like, no. If I am this person, if I become this person, then I can do these things and I can have these things. And so leadership is key. Now, a lot of the guys, they don't realize that their wife is lost. Their wife is at the same degree of feeling lost and confused as they were when they began. And they look at it and they have these expectations placed on their wife, like somehow their wife knows how to get out of this maze. Like untie the straitjacket. And it's like, well, your wife has no idea how to do that. But you, through your own journey and your own process, that's why self-awareness has the highest exchange rate out of any of the quadrants of emotional intelligence, more than motivation, social skills, relationship management, more than any of them. Why? Because it's like, self-awareness that you develop inside, when you truly, truly can look inside and decipher and decode all that esoteric language that goes on inside of you, and you get it, and you understand it, and you unlock doors. It's like in the beginning of the journey, it's like standing on a hillside, and you and I are looking at the sky, and I go, hey, what do you see? And you're like, what do you mean? And I go, what do you see? And you're like, stars? No, hey, what do you see? And you're like, I don't, and you're getting frustrated. I don't know, man. Like fucking stars? I don't know. What are you asking me? And it's like, right, okay. Now I'm going to take you to school for astronomy and astrology. And I take you to school for a couple months, and then we go back to that same hillside and I say, hey, point to the same sky, and I say, what do you see? And you're like, oh, geez. And you go, man, there's a Sagittarius, Aquarius, there's Gemini, Big Dipper, Little Dipper. You're looking at the same thing. But what you see is something entirely different, meaning you see the gateway, you see the code, you see the matrix. It's like Neo in the Matrix when, right, Agent Smith, he fired the bullets and he sees them come and he stops the bullet and says, no, right? He says, no. And then he sees the code. It all makes sense. He understands it. He understands he's in a program. The way to get somebody else to change is through influence. It's like when when we were changed, it wasn't because we were coerced, right? It's because we felt inspired. We felt motivated, right? By somebody else's journey. But a lot of guys have to get under, right? They're under their wife in this position of contempt where their wife doesn't respect them. So they got to get to a place where like their wife might not like them, but oh, wow, she'll respect how he operates and how he lives his life, because he lives his life in a way where he's a rare individual, right? He's not who he used to be. And you can have all the confirmation bias you want. He's undeniable. He's undeniable in the way he lives his life, mind, body, soul, spirit, as we talked about. And he's in a position now where she's looking at him and she's looking at how he's impervious to her emotional states, where her emotions don't dictate his mood and his day. Right. And he's at a place in his autonomy where he's available for that stuff, but he's not codependent. He understands where he ends and where she begins. He's taken back his independence. He's taken back his self-worth, his self-esteem, his self-confidence. He's building these things. He's not relying on her to do that. And he's growing at a fast rate. And she's getting to a point, and this happens all the time inside the program, where he's getting to a point where she starts to become curious about his journey, about like, hey, how are you not getting reactive anymore? Like, how are you? I'm starting to realize that you're making me really uncomfortable because you're available for me, but you're not looking at me as I am your number one purpose and pursuit in this world. And that's making me realize that I need to get my shit together. I need to start working on myself. A lot of people say, like, it takes two to tango. It does. But the reality is, a lot of times it only takes one.